Hi, I'm going to share my screen and show you a couple of the poems, and I'm going to read them, and I'm going to read a few of mine. Like I said, if you have poems that you want to share, please join us and share your poem. So we are Dungeons and Dragons and Everything Nice, and if you get the if you get the reference there, comment it. So if you're interested in being interviewed, if you had a book published, or you're a poet, or you're an artist, just check us out and we can interview you. Maybe I can screen share while you're doing art so we can talk while you're drawing. That might be pretty cool. We're doing writing spins, poetry reads, interviews. I do play some video games, and we have a wrestling league coming out. It is a CPU league called Creed Elite Wrestling. It starts on January 2nd at 2 o'clock. So feel free to jump in to watch. If you are part of other wrestling leagues and you want your call in ours, just message us so we know who to download and how to set up our first card. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, here's the first one. Let's see. Oops, it's a little behind there. Okay, so you can see this is called Thanksgiving Blues. Here we go, another year. I hate how everyone is so cheerful. I feel like I want to cry, not be happy. After you left, it was not the same. One empty chair is sitting there collecting dust. I read everyone saying whose house they're going to. I just sit here and wait for my family members to invite us. We never had anyone invite us in a long time. No family ever even cares or even catch up on me. I remember that Thanksgiving, that year clearly. No happy people, but the day I learned CPR at a young age. Experienced what death of a loved one. I was 8 and all confused. He was okay last night. I hope you slipped away peacefully. It's been 12 years and we only went to a friend's house twice out of the 12. I didn't like to fake being happy. I was left out alone always. When more of their family came, take a bite or two before wanting to throw up. I'm glad at home I don't have to hide my tears. I really do try to be happy, though, during the holidays. I still get up and breathe, but Thanksgiving, I'd rather stay curled up in bed, watching hours of TV, trying to make time go by faster. But I hope that everyone else has a good Thanksgiving. Everyone deserves a time to be happy. Time off work, time together. I hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving. Stop sharing. Well, I know what that poem is about, so it's I try not to cry while reading it. Anyone who have ever lost somebody during a holiday, I'm sure those feelings are very similar to the ones that you experienced. I had someone send a poem to me. It is not by them, but it is a poem that they love and they wanted me to share it. So let me go and grab that poem. Try to figure out how to share this one. It's as a picture. So, I'm not sure. Let's see if I can get it up. I saved it under poem. As I learn more, this will be much easier flow. Okay. Chrome tab. Oh, I think it's this one. Yes, it is. Oh, I picked the right one. Okay, this is by Benjamin E. Mays. I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, can't refuse it. Didn't sneak it, didn't choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but eternity is in it. Whew. So that's another strong poem, and really about giving up, about using all the time in your life. And a lot of times, we don't do everything that we should do. Hi, Will. I'm glad that I can watch your comments too. I have a stream going on Twitch and Facebook at the same time, and sometimes it's hard to watch all of the comments, but I think I pretty much have caught up on that right now. All right, so what I was trying to do, one of the things I was trying to do was pull up my poetry book. And for some reason, my Kindle app wasn't working. So I'm going to pull up another page for you and show you. I've written 2 poetry books. One is called Railing of the Soul. One is called Rambling of the Mind. I really wanted to show you the one, the Kindle version of it, but my Kindle, like I said, my Kindle wasn't working the way I wanted it to. So I have to use my Google Docs. Now, one of the things as a writer, when you look at your first draft, never compare it to a finished novel. Your first draft is going to have so many changes. You're going to fix so many different things. So never, don't look at your first draft and say, oh, this sucks. Because it does, because it's your first draft. So what I'm going to show you is my Google Docs version of the book. So again, it is one of the first drafts of it. The finished product has color and it's typesetted and it looks much better. And if my Amazon was working, I would show you it. So let me, I'm going to share my screen again. Here we go. Now, I really like, it's okay, Taylor. I know you didn't mean to make me cry, but I have some poems myself that I would cry. It's good. So this is Rambling of the Soul. It's a book of poems and thoughts. And again, it's on my Google Docs. Not the right one I wanted to show you. All right. So let's try Rambling Doc. That might work better. Or not.
Today we're going back in time to look at something that used to be very, very popular. Back in early 2016, Undertale.
We'll just go with it. I put a disclaimer on all my poetry books. And it says, this is a collection of poems, thoughts, short stories, and art. I hope you enjoy them. Many of my poems might be dark and depressing, but writing is how I cope with life, with what life throws at us. When I'm frustrated, hurt, and sad, I write. I hope it helps me cope with my feelings. Though not every poem will fit the description, most of them will. I write a slew of subjects: motherhood, family, miscarriage, children, raising children, and many more. Sometimes moms get into competition of who's the better mom or who has the best kids, whose job is the hardest, and that mindset is not good for anyone. So I promise to be real as I can, hoping that things that have challenged me will help someone else. So that's like a disclaimer that I put on all of my poems. It's not that my life isn't like depressing. It's just that I write when I'm upset. So this is Rambling Up the Soul. And I'm going to read Mornings. The alarm sounds in my head and I grumble and moan. It pulls me from my slumber with a start. My blankets wrapped around me, keeping me warm as the cold morning air hits me. I pull the covers over my head. It can't be morning already. I want to hide from everyone and everything. Just lay and look up the ceiling and dream. I want to hide from the world and pull the blankets closer. A cold morning air wakes me, but I retreat under the covers. Never leave the warmth and safety of my bed. Just lay and look at the ceiling and dream. I lay alone with all my thoughts. The quiet in the morning, no one expecting anything from me. In this quiet time, oh, the thoughts that come. Alas, I rise, each day the same, running a race that never ends. The race never ends, just to take some days along with my kids. No work, no stress, just me and my kids. That's kind of how we feel in the morning when you just have to get up and go. This is The Monster Rises, and this is one of the songs that this is one of the poems I wrote when I was upset. Sometimes when I'm upset about someone, when I'm upset with somebody, I write a poem. A lot of times the poems are about other people, but they don't know it because this is how I express things. It's not always a good idea to confront someone, to say, this is why you're mad. Because you might be mad for a silly reason, and what good's going to come from you confronting someone? So the monster rises up in my soul. It grows and screams and it infects my heart. Like a virus, it spreads. It corrupts as it decimates. Be happy for them, a small voice whispers to me. The monster shrieks. Where were they when it was your turn? Where were their praises and support? Why did they pick her and not you? How can they support him and not you? Be happy for your friend. Don't sour their victory with frets of your own. But the monster bellows from within. Its voice rattles my bones. I try to hide it, but it's the monster wails on. I cover my ears, blocking it out. The small, timid voice I hear calling out to me. Be happy for your friend. Show them support. Do not let this monstrous nature eat away at your soul. It will leave you in a bleak darkness with a hole in your heart. Fight this creature and be whole. I sit with my hands on my ears, fighting. Yes, so that was a little jealousy on my part. And I'm going to explain that a friend of mine wrote a book, and we went to the same college together, and our college alumni made this whole big thing for her, which is awesome for her. And I was like, oh, I wrote a book. Why didn't they do that for me? And I saw all our mutual friends supporting her, and I was like, oh, why didn't they do that for me? And it was like that monster in your mind, and you have to fight it because you're like, okay, be happy for them. Just because someone didn't do something for you doesn't mean that you can't do it for someone else. So this is a really cool thing that we just noticed is we have chat commands now. So if you notify, you can follow us. If you try to see what other commands there are, I know that we do. The coolest one is the roll D20. So and I'm going to stop sharing this one. And let's see. Let me start sharing another another poem. And let's see here. It's not working now. Okay. I have another screen share. Share Chrome tab. We're gonna do. Here we go. Okay. So Taylor, I have another poem of yours to read. Maybe one day I can get you to come on with me and read them with me. Comes in waves. I hate this thing called grief. It's like a shot through the heat, a shadow lingering, a thought that comes all the time. It's like a feeling that never stops. I know people say the longer it is, the easier it is. I call BS on that. It's been 12 years. I feel worse every year. Roger, I miss you so much. I miss you, Jemez. You're two of the strongest angels I know. Roger, you're the best brother, and you'll always be. It's 12 years. That's older than you were on this earth. How's heaven? See, Taylor, now you're going to make me cry. Is it like everyone says? Pain-free? Always happy? I know you watch me. I get signs almost every day. I wish I could hear your voice. Wake up to your laugh or two. Are you singing with the angels? I know you love to sing in the choir. Are you eating tons of Cheetos? I can't wait to the day God calls me to see you and I hug you. I'm doing the best I can. I'm watching over Mom and Sis. We all miss you, but I feel like I do the most. Jabaz, I miss your attitude towards life. I hope you're pain-free in heaven, being able to run and walk. I still remember the day the doctors called. I was with your mom that night. Both shed so many tears. My heart stopped that night. I can't believe another angel was called. I hope you are happy. I thank God for all the days I get to live on this earth. I continue going on fighting through this all and not let this get to me so hard. Ooh, I didn't know how hard it was going to be to read some of these, but that's that it's a lot. It's definitely hard to. Poems are very emotional, and your Kindle Store's still not working. So let me see if I can get one of mine up. Ramblings of my soul. Ramblings of my soul. Let's try Ramblings of my soul. Hey, it looks promising. Looks like it might be working. That poem was about the day. Yeah, I kind of figured it was from knowing you. It's definitely a hard thing, losing family. Yeah, I was a little speechless myself, but all right. So I'm going to share 2 screens with you. One, I'm going to show you where the books are, and hopefully this loads by the time I get to it. Share screen, Chrome tab. So my books are on Amazon. For any indie writer, there are many places you can go. Amazon does a great job of this is right. Okay. Amazon does a great job for those that here we go. Never mind. Not letting me find my books. Well, we'll go a different route. Yeah, me too, Paul. I was trying not to cry. I'm trying to pull up some of mine right now. But it's not working for me, so I'm going to have to go under my Kindle publishing site. But I can share that if there's any writers in a group who have written anything and are looking for a way to publish, and then I can get to my poetry books. Okay, so this is how you get on Amazon. It's called Amazon Direct Publishing, or KDP. Sign in, and it takes you to your bookshelf. So these are all the books that I have written. And this is Rambling of the Soul. This is what I was trying to open. I also have Rambling of the Mind. And I am in the process of putting out Ramblings of the Heart. I just finished all the poems for it, and now I have to do the artwork that goes with it. So this is where it is on Kindle. And it says read now, because I bought a copy because I wanted to and you see it doesn't actually load right now. So it could be a Kindle problem, but we shall see. Well, we'll stop that because it's not working, but I'll take you to Rambling of the Heart and read you one of the new poems then, because I'm having a hard time getting into my new. Okay, this is the first look at Railings of the Heart. Again, it's the same intro. And anybody that is that's writing, you always have to put some kind of a copyright into it. So let's see. Happy birthday, baby. The pit in my stomach never goes away. I miss you, but I know you are in a better place. As your birthday comes, each year I cry. No matter what, I miss you. No matter how many years go by, you will always be my baby. I thought this was one about Zelda, but so I lost my first baby, and I thought it was going to be a poem about Zelda, and I forgot. It's about your first baby. Now, again, remember, I write when I'm upset. So a lot of the poems, some of them might sound mean, or you might be like, oh, you sound very depressed. But this is like a coping mechanism. So anyone who's dealing with depression, anxiety, writing is a good tool. Always alone. As much as I give, I lose. As much as I care, they don't. How do you know how important you are? Do I think more of you than you think of me? I am hopeless and alone, always and forever. As much as I help, it's never enough. As much as I love, I hurt. I am not important and never have been. To those I care about, they care little for me. I am hopeless and alone, always and forever. I'm the one who gets tossed aside, forgotten each time a new thing comes along. So I know that, that's not true. But a lot of times in our lives, that's how we feel. We feel that we give and give and give, and something happens, and you don't feel that way. You don't feel that loved. Yeah. Sometimes I teach my students that I work in special ed, and I work with behavioral students, and I try to get them to write. So I always have them write a journal in the beginning of class, just so that they can get their emotions out. And you're right, writing definitely helps with that. I have another poem. Taylor sent me one more poem. Hi, Stacy. So let me see if I can click on this one. Okay. Oh, it's a pet one about a pet dying. I'm gonna cry. Having a pet is hard. No, I'm not talking about money. It's seeing them slip away or walking up to them dead. I miss petting her furry fur. I miss her feathers against my fingers. I miss petting his hard shell. I know it was their time. It just really sucks. I had plans for them all. I can't wait to meet you again. I hope they're all happy. I hope they're watching over me. I can't bear to get any more for a long time. I miss you, Clove, Fluttershy, and Herbert. So that is a going over to the they call it the Rainbow Bridge. That is one poem I cannot read because I will cry and I won't be able to go on. But that's we've all lost pets, and it's a very difficult thing for many people. So those are all the poems that I was sent. If there's anyone who any writers out there who would enjoy having some of their poems read or a section of their book, we can do that. I was hoping to open the Kindle and read one of my books. I have a few books that are rather short. And for some reason, the Amazon Kindle app is not working. So I will grab my book. I know, but it's not working. Of course, she starts working, right? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought the Kindle was gonna work, and of course, I had to get up and get them. But I wanted to show you what some of the typesetting looks like. Yeah, it's Pablo. It's Sean's dog. He's crazy. So typesetting is when you like the colors and how they align the book. And this is called it's my proof. So this one says not for resale, but I have the same cover. Hi, Rosa. So I was going to read the first chapter of the Shadow Realm Chronicles. I'm hoping that at some point, it would be cool if, people started, talking about my characters and things like that. But we shall see. But this is another example of typesetting. I have an editor who does, amazing work. And she found a typesetter, so he puts, little... So it looks like a real book, really professional. Okay, so I'm going to read chapter 1. It's called The Great War. And again, if you are a writer and you have a book that just came out, or even if it's been out for a while, send me the link and I can get it and maybe I can read parts of it. Or you can email me sections of the book, a chapter here or so, and I can read it. Many years ago, darkness tore apart the worlds. They called it the Great War, for it was massive and involved all the realms of each world. Enemies on either side grew their armies for battle with heavy casualties. New allies formed out of this bloodshed while old ones crumbled. The world of the Fae changed forever as their king descended into madness. His name was Julian. He once was a loving ruler, but those times were long gone. The pages written of him now are full of rage, blood, and hatred. Hatred for his children who grew to love others and revolt against him and his rule. Hatred for his wife who fled with his children, and hatred for all the realm that were not under his rule. Julian needed his children because they were powerful. Each one controlled one of the four elements: wind, water, earth, and fire. Even though his children hated who he became, they remembered the good in him, and were perhaps the only ones besides their mother who did. Marius, the leader of the vampires, and Jonathan, the ruler of the Shadow Realm, fought alongside Julian. But they did not trust him. Each of these three men were scheming against each other as they all wanted to come out as the victor. Jonathan had many plans and plots forming in his head, but they all revolved around Maeve. Maeve was a fairy, but she lived in a quiet world, the one world that was protected from the Great War. Jonathan didn't care what Julian or Marius did, interfere with his plan, but interfere with what they did best. Jonathan had great plans for Maeve and her family, but he knew little of her connection to Julian's family. The Great War might be over, but another one was looming in the distance, and it all began with a lonely mother named Maeve. So, the Great War is in my head. I haven't written about the Great War yet, but one day in my plans, I would like to do, after I finish telling this story, I would love to tell the story of the Great War because it's all in my head. Let's see, what's Heather? I can come on sometimes to read if you want before lunch. I would love for you to come on and read with us. Read some of your poems because I know you have a lot. I know you've been posting. We have this awesome group on Facebook. It's kind of like role players. It's called Role Players and Friends Unite, but it's basically a place for people to post their artwork, role play anything they want to. And Taylor's been posting a lot of poems lately, so that's been really awesome. If anyone does write and wants to do writing sprints, I don't know if we're going to do it tonight, but I always found it weird to do a live when you're writing sprints because basically it's like a bunch of people sitting around looking at each other type. So it's just odd. How many books do I have out? I have like 7. So I have 2 novels, 3 kids books, and I have 2 poetry books. I have 1 book. The first book I wrote is called Birth After Miscarriage, and it's a story about my miscarriage and the birth of Zelda. It's the first time I started writing because I was really upset, and I wrote about writing helped me cope, and then I realized that a lot of people didn't talk about miscarriage, so I started writing it basically to help other women who were going through it. So, and that's a smaller book. I could probably read that in one evening, but I just don't have it like in my hands right now. I'm planning on getting them also. A student to 2nd grade until I graduate from high school. Help me. I've learned to sometimes problem with math. But I want to take math college with costume design made as a major. Yeah, Stacy does a lot of cosplay, which is another thing that you can go onto we changed the name of the group, so I have to think of it because it used to be called Roleplay Haven, but we decided to change it, and now I can't even remember the name of the group because we had a vote. It's called Role Players and Friends United. So on there you can post your role plays and things. Let me see if I could pick another poem for you. One was called, one poem I really enjoyed writing was called Waves, because it really described how anxiety feels. I just had to find it. It's probably in this one. Might be a new poem that I wrote. I write on a few different blogging sites. One is I'm 63. Okay, it's in here. Here it is. One is called Medium. One WordPress Blogger. So all the poems for my book I've already posted on those sites to get feedback, see how people like them. The wind blows as the seasons change. A change of direction and all is lost. I sit looking out, wondering where I went wrong. Lost in an endless sea of winds as my heart breaks and shatters on the wind. The current takes me away, rushing past. I float away, looking back, seeing I am nothing. Nothing, floating away, drifting endlessly in a sea of doubt that current takes me. As the tides go out, I am left drifting in and out as the sea roars on. Lost as I wonder where I went wrong. And then sometimes when you have anxiety, you just feel like you are completely lost in completely lost. And I don't know if anyone's ever been to the beach, but hold on, somebody's messaging me. I would love to share it. If you are ever at the beach. So I'm from New Jersey, and when I was little, we would go to the shore all the time, and I got caught in a rift current. And it's the scariest thing because you go out and everything looks fine, but then you realize that the waves are coming towards you. You turn around, and then they start coming back from the beach, and they crash on top of you. And then they pull you and drag you. And that's how anxiety feels. Like you have no control. It just takes you down. And so as my brother and I were out at the beach, and it just pulled us all the way down to the next lifeguard. So this is the poem that I wrote about anxiety. Many people have anxiety, and most others don't understand it. They think the person is suffering from anxiety is making it up, or the person suffering from depression can do something to stop it. It's not so easy. This is just a look at how anxiety feels for me. My heart racing, fear grows, uncontrollable all at once. Breathing fast, pacing, worries, uncontrollable all at once. It makes no sense, no reason at all. I can't breathe, the walls are closing in. No one understands, they'll say I'm making it up. It's no reason at all, but the walls are closing in all at once. And that's one of the things with anxiety is when you have anxiety and you have an anxiety attack, there could be no reason that you're having it. You're just having it. There's no like I said, there's no reason at all, but the walls are closing in. I don't know why the walls are closing in. And because you start thinking about why are the walls closing in, then your anxiety gets worse. Okay, and I just got a poem from somebody. Let's say, would you like me to tell your name or just read it? Name or just read it? Because I can just read it. It looks awesome. Let me just share. Let's see if I can share it. Share screen. I don't know if you can see that very well, but hopefully if you expand the screen, you can. Okay, so this is Adam Beat just sent me this poem, and I hope you guys can see it, right? All right. I'm a prisoner in my own shell. I don't know how I became trapped in my own hell. I don't understand why, even though this life is mine, I have no control over this mind. Sitting inside day and night, scared of the outside for no reason that I can find. Wish that I can rewind back to a time when life was mine, but for some reason I'm stuck with this illness on my brain, an illness that the world cannot explain. So how am I to be free when nobody knows what is eating at me? Will I ever escape this hell or forever be a prisoner in my shell? I am trapped in this asylum that is my mind. Those on the outside don't hear me cry. Cold and alone, I fear, is how I die. Screaming inside, my mind is blind to the virus that spreads wide. Why can't I fight? Why should I sit and fear life? Trapped inside this hellish ride, around my mind shaking with fear, wishing I could see things a little more clear, maybe find a way to overcome this fear. So one day, a story I can tell of how I escaped the hell and left behind the prison in my shell. Yeah, that is a great hold on, let me stop sharing. That is a great explanation of how depression and anxiety feel. You feel trapped, and when I kind of stopped taking, I thought I stopped taking the anxiety. I used to take anxiety medicine, and the problem with it is it would make me so exhausted, and the next day I'd have a headache. So I stopped taking it and tried to talk myself out of the anxiety. But there's some people that really have to have medicine for it. And that's how it feels, that you are just trapped and you can't breathe, you can't think. Okay, Taylor says, yes, I have anxiety attacks and they'll come all of a sudden. And for mine, sometimes I start to have an anxiety attack and I have to, okay, why am I nervous? What's going on? What do I need to feel anxious for? The problem is when there's really a problem that you have to worry about, it makes it worse. It compounds it more and more. But that was a really powerful poem. But I was saying earlier, Stacy, is you can join that group that Taylor and I were talking about and add in your cosplay ideas. I'm going to read one more short story. There was a writing contest around Halloween this year. It was called like Lulu Scarefest or something like that. And they said you had to write it within a certain amount of words, and you had to have a scary story. So I wrote a scary story. Let me see if I... It's called Flight 553. Now, the reason I chose the number 553 is because Edgar Allan Poe is my favorite poet, and his house number in Philadelphia was 553. So that's why I chose that. So this is a horror story, and I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, so there were 5 survivors: John, Abigail, Michael, Beth, and Lily. Flight 553 took off with 200 passengers and no issues. Oh, I'm not sharing it. I thought I was sharing that one. Sorry, 553. Here we go. Let me check. Yeah, here we go. There are 5 survivors: John, Abigail, Michael, Beth, and Lily. Flight 553 took off with 200 passengers and no issues. The flight crew went through their routine checks as they always do, but nothing could have prepared them for what was to follow. Without warning, the plane lost altitude and crashed somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. The scene was horrific as passengers struggled to unfasten their seatbelts and free themselves from the sinking plane. Those who freed themselves had to swim away from the wreckage as it sank, pulling the others underwater. Seawater filled their lungs. The pressure built as plasma from their blood filled their lungs, preventing them from breathing. They drowned not only from seawater, but from their own blood that had filled their lungs. Bodies washed up on the shore, still moving and struggling, but only 5 stood and walked to the sand. Those 5 did their best to help the dead and injured to no avail. The smell of blood and death in the water attracted local sea life. Sharks and others came to feed on the victims. Soon the water turned red as the sharks fed on the remains. Lily did her best to help. The blood and gore didn't bother her as it affected the others. Oh, the blood, the sweet blood, she thought, as she wrapped the bodies for burial and placed them in shallow graves the survivors dug for them. The others thought Lily was in shock or suffering post-traumatic stress disorder, but she wasn't. Death excited her. They found a shelter from the first night, but the first night was when the winds came. A strong wind rushed through the beach and swayed the trees, calling to Lily. She moaned in her sleep as she heard the wind. Lily, Lily, come to me, Lily. The voice grew louder, but Lily kept sleeping. The voice grew so loud that she put her hands over her ears to block out the sound, but still the voice came. As much as she tried to sleep that night, the winds came, and she kept having nightmares. The same nightmare repeated all night. In her dream, Beth was sleeping when a figure appeared before her. The figure, a shadow of a man, appeared to smile as he stood over Beth. Beth woke with a start and screamed as the figure slit her throat. He continued to cut into her as the spray from the blood spewed from her body. When the figure left, Lily crept over to Beth's body. She ran her fingers through Beth's hair and moved her fingers in the blood, as if it was so natural to do so. Sleep well, Lily said with a smile. Lily woke panting, with a sickening feeling coming over her. Then, in an instant, screams filled the air as the others woke. Beth, Beth! The others screamed as they reached for her. Only a pile of blood lay where Beth once slept. Blood covered Lily's hands. Hey, Krista! She woke. She looked at them and then ran to the water to wash them. How could this be? I told myself it was just a dream. Why are my hands covered in blood? Where did Beth go? When Lily finished, she returned to the group and helped them look for Beth, but they never found her. After a while, they had given up hope on finding Beth. Lily sat on the beach staring at the waves, trying to push away her feelings of guilt. I smiled and laughed as she died. What's wrong with me? The next night, the demon killed John. Lily laughed and danced around the tree as his feet dangled in the air. Every night, the demon killed another person, and the excitement in Lily grew with each kill. The dreams excited her. The demon strangled Abigail. That one didn't excite Lily as much as the others had. She found she enjoyed watching the blood pour from her victims far better. He even let her cut off Michael's head. Oh, how exciting it was to slice through his neck as the blood splattered upon her face. Why am I acting this way? Something or someone unlocked this. My want for blood and death. On the 5th day, the beach was silent when Lily awoke. She was alone. Only the sound she heard was the lapping of the waves and the beat of her heart echoing in her ears. And the voice. Still the voice called to her again. Who are you? Lily asked. Why are you giving me these dreams? The wind stopped as the voice fell silent. Lily was the only one left. Was this demon coming for her now? What did it want with her? Lily walked into the woods, hoping to find what was hunting her and kill it before it could kill her. She found a stick and took out a red pocket knife. She sat on her nearby stump and sharpened it, thinking she needed something to defend herself if she ran into the demon figure. She walked for hours, and the sun rays burnt her back. Lily knew it was late afternoon. She kept walking, thinking she should turn around and go back. She could be back at the beach by nightfall, but then she came to an abandoned cabin. It was a wooden cabin, and the stench of rotting flesh filled the surrounding air. It turned Lily's stomach, and she turned away to vomit. The smell before had excited her, but this was far too pungent. She growled, "Get it together." Shame came across her face. The smell should excite her and not make her sick. She was not expecting the smell to be that pungent. After a few moments, she regained her passion, her excitement, and explored the cabin. She grabbed the doorknob, but pulled away as blood was covering it. The blood shocked her, but it did not faze her. She entered the cabin and let out a gasp as she saw the bodies of her fallen peers hanging in various positions. Abigail sat in the center of the room in a rusted steel chair with straps confining her to the chair. Weapons of torture lay all over the workshop. Michael's body lay on a wooden table with two clamps holding his head in place. Beth lay on another table, a metal one, and poor John. His dismembered body, he dismembered John's body and placed each body part in a glass jar. His hands shook as he examined the jars. "This is insane. Get out. Get out now." Winds came rushing in behind her as the door opened. She turned to see a figure standing there watching her. "Welcome home, Lily. Are you here to join me or just watch as you do in your dreams?" he asked. Lily froze in place. Part of her wanted to run back to the beach and away from this creature, but another part wanted more. Another part of her wanted to stay. She wanted to stay and explore, experiment, and kill. Holy God, she was becoming a monster. The shadow moved towards her, sensing her inner turmoil. "That's a good girl. I can tell how excited you are. We've been waiting for you." Lily smirked, for she knew this shadow of a man would not hurt her. He wanted her to help him. "Help him, yes. I want to help him. Now go home and dream more victims up for me," he commanded. The next morning, she woke up back in bed at her home. Was this a dream? She walked into the living room and turned on the news. The reporter spoke. "Yes, that is correct. 199 passengers on flight 552 confirmed dead." Lily gasped as she felt a cold breeze rush through her apartment. "Lily," the voice was back. She turned around as a shadow figure was in the doorway. Hold on, get back to me. So that's my scary story. I hope you enjoyed it. It was fun to write. So I believe this only works in the Facebook chat. So Will, I think if you're still in Twitch, if you want to come over to the Facebook chat, I think it might only work in there. But we have commands now in the Facebook chat. So let me just type it in. We have commands in the Facebook chat. So I think one is notify, which tells you like if we're live. And you can do follow it just like you do on the wrestling shows and stuff like that. But the coolest one is the roll D20. Oh, yeah. It was scary. I can probably expand on it. Okay, it can make a good slasher movie. But there is one. I think it's roll D20. I have to figure hashtag roll 20. Let me see if that one works. If this one works, we're all set. Roll 20. I must have done it wrong. Commands. I wanted to do I want to do something fun, and I need my commands to work. They don't seem to be working. Let me see if I can get it right. It's probably just in the Facebook. It's probably just in the Dungeons and Dice and Everything Nice page. Yeah, so if you're in here and you write notify, And let me see what the commands are. Okay, so here are my commands, and I believe you have to post it onto in the Facebook in the actual page. So let me see if I can tag you and see if that works. Might have to do it next time. What I was going to do is do a roll D20, and whoever has the highest, I was going to send a copy of my book, but maybe I'll have to do that for next time and only stream to my only stream right to my page. But this is the first time I'm doing the poetry reads. Next time we might do an interview if you know anyone who wants to be interviewed, or you can do a writing sprint. But thank you for joining today, and I hope everyone has a great night. Yeah, Krista, it's not working on here. I have to have it. I have to be on the page, not on my profile. So just learning things. I should only stream to my page. So thank everybody for joining. Again, if you have any, if you know any writers or authors who would like to join us next time, please jump in. And thank you. Have a great night. Let me see if I can just put my page back up. My background. I don't know if it works. All right.